Hey YouTubers, Muskrat Jim here. Well, it's finally spring. It's overcast here, kind of breezy, but I wanted to show you my Bushcraft Fire Kit. Now, a friend of mine from Quebec, LT Survival, was good enough to send me this tin. Now, inside of it, I've got several items. Got a magnifying lens. Now it's way too overcast today to use that. And here I have some stormproof matches. It's a half a box, so there's 12 there. And then I have the striker on this side. And they're all in a waterproof little Ziploc. Here I have a tea light candle. The idea being, use the match to light the candle, use the candle to light the fire. This is one of those Hexamine cubes. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. But anyway, it works in those Esbit stoves. So all I have to do is if I wanted to use the whole piece, I could just take a knife and scratch the top of it just to make some loose little powders. And then I can ignite that with a spark. Or I could actually cut this in half or cut it in quarters and do the same with just a smaller piece. Here I have an Ultimate Survival Technologies ferro rod and striker. I just picked that up the other day, so it's hardly been used. So I'll have to scratch some of that black off today in order to give you a demonstration of some of the things here. And I also have tinder in this box. Here I have some jute twine. I don't know how many feet of it, probably 12 to 15 feet. So that's tinder. Inside this little Ziploc, I have some char cloth. And then I have some birch bark on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the ignition systems to light some of the tinder that I have in this Bushcraft Fire Kit. As I said, we won't be able to use the magnifying lens because it just isn't bright enough. It's too overcast. So we're going to start with the jute twine. I just cut off a little piece, probably, I don't know, 6 inches, 15 centimeters or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shred that into the individual hairs. There, so now that that's shredded, I'm going to use the Ultimate Survival Technologies ferro rod and striker to put a spark in there and get that to ignite. It's kind of breezy. Don't want it to blow away. My camera fell over. Okay, so next what we're going to do is ignite some char cloth. Hopefully this won't blow away on us. Again, I'll be using the ferro rod. Yeah, hopefully I can do this without having the camera topple over. blew away just a second. There. And you can see that it's caught. So we'll just let that burn. So if we had put that inside a tinder bundle, we could have blown that into a nice big flame. Okay, so next we're going to take some birch bark, shave off some really fine powdery pieces, and get those to ignite. Now it's really kind of breezy out today, so I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to get this to go before it blows away. I'll just put that in the ashtray there. Leave my knife on there so it holds it in place, and we'll use a ferro rod again. It burns really fast. I think the birch bark might be a little bit damp too. Well, you get the idea with that one. So obviously the char cloth works a whole lot better than the birch bark for catching a spark. Now we're going to try the hexamide cube. Or hexamine, I guess it's hexamine. So I'm going to cut this into quarters. Well, it's not going to cut into quarters. It's a lot harder than I thought it was. So cut this into a few chunks. And we're going to try to get it to light in the ashtray. We'll see how quickly that'll take a spark. It's quite breezy. Well, as you can see, I had quite a bit of trouble with the hexamine, whatever you want to call it. I had quite a bit of trouble igniting that with a spark. Which brings me to the next thing. stormproof matches. Now these, as you can see, have a really large head and a small little body, so they really flare up well. They're not like a regular wooden match, so you have to watch your fingers. So what we're going to do is we're going to try the match on the Hexamine, just to see if it'll light. Now if I was trying to light a fire, you know, with kindling and larger pieces of wood and that sort of thing, I would light the tea light and then put the tea light underneath the tinder, and then it would ignite the other things, because this tea light's going to burn for, I don't know, half an hour or something, whereas a match will only be burning for a minute. What I did is I took the box of matches and just split it in half so that I would have 12 matches here plus a striker, and then I've got 12 matches and a striker in my EDC as well. Now the matches in my EDC are actually a backup method of making fire, whereas my primary method of making fire in my EDC is a butane lighter, like a Bic lighter. Okay, so you're about to see how well this flares up. See, it keeps flaring. It keeps flaring until it gets down to the end. I don't know if those cubes are going to burn or not. Doesn't look like it. They may have expired, but it's good to know. Then I won't rely on them. There, I think they're finally lit. Yep. Took quite a bit to ignite those cubes, but they are finally lit. So I doubt very much that I'd be able to light them with a spark. I'd have to light them with a flame. So now that'll burn for a good while. So just set that aside for now. Well, that hexamide cube, or the little piece of it that I put in there, gave off quite a bit of heat because it cracked the that glass ashtray. It's surprising. So, as you can see, I've got several methods of starting a fire in this fire kit. Some of them were easier to use than others. The thing about bushcrafting is that it's sort of like a hobby, you know? You go outside and you practice different things. Whereas in a survival situation, you really wouldn't want to have to depend on this fire kit that I put together. There's just too many variables. Like, for example, the lens. Can't use it today. It's nowhere near sunny enough. The Hexamine tablets, or Hexamine, or I don't know how to pronounce that thing. Anyway, very hard to ignite with a spark. You can ignite it with a flame, but not a spark. And the birch bark, I had some difficulty there too, trying to ignite that with a spark. So, in a survival situation, you really have to change the battery. So the difference between bushcrafting and survival is that bushcrafting is more of a hobby, where you go out and you try different things, and you have fun, and that sort of thing. In a survival situation, you need something that's going to work first time, every time. So that's why in my EDC, I always carry a Bic lighter. And I always test it before I go out, just to make sure there's fluid in it. But Bic lighters aren't windproof, so I also carry a small Zippo. And the Zippo has a windproof chamber. So it's great. Oh, and you don't have to keep your thumb on the lighter. You can just hold this underneath your fire for as long as you need to. The other thing about the Zippo is that I carry some spare fluid with me. So even if I'm working with wet wood, I can just put a squirt of Zippo fluid, or lighter fluid, on the fire, and it'll go up no problem at all. So remember your priorities, whether you're in a survival situation or whether you're just out bushcrafting, and be prepared. This is Muskrat Jim, signing out. For more muskrat survival videos, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.